Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest is our 2019 NPC Junior USA overall champ. It's been 3 years since I've been getting hawked to get this guy on the show. He won the big title. He's here. Walter Debbs, congratulations on the win. And Teddy Zane, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Right there, baby. 2019 Junior USA.
That's awesome. That's a great trophy. Too bad they don't give a pro card out for that, right?
Nah.
I've been petitioning.
I mean, everybody else got a pro card.
I know. I've been petitioning. Chris Aceto and I think it's ridiculous that they don't give at least one pro card out at that show for the men.
I was hoping they'd surprise us at the end of the night and give him one anyway. He earned it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But they should. For the Junior USA, Junior Nationals, they should give an overall pro card. Definitely. All right, let's take a step back with the prep. 2016, I think you won the Alabama State. Was that it? Super heavyweight?
Yeah, we came to you in 2016 and you won the heavyweight. No, the super heavyweight. Super heavy.
Yeah. Now, I remember you came to me, you sent me pictures, you said, this guy's got potential. I said, I completely agree. I was helping you out a little bit with him. Where did you meet Walt first, and where did you notice, and when did you tell him, hey, I think you could be a good pro bodybuilder?
Well, actually, I was just driving by and I seen the gym. I decided to come and get a membership because I was at Planet Fitness at one point.
Can you believe that crap?
They let you train there? I'm so shocked.
Yeah,
you must be quiet. You must be a quiet bodybuilder.
I charge him double just because he came from Planet Fitness, man.
Which is still only $20 a month, right?
Actually, quadruple that. No, listen, he came in and I made him take his shirt off because he was really big, but he was kind of like in the, I'll say, mid 20% body fat.
Yeah.
But Dave, he had all the parts, man. He had the chest, the arms, the legs. He just wasn't a bodybuilder at the time. He was a football player. Yeah.
So you pulled a Ronnie Coleman on him, basically. You said, look, I'll give you a free gym membership if you compete, huh?
I mean, it took me a year, though, to convince him to compete.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was a bodybuilder. He's like, man, I'm not interested. And he kept pulling away from me, Dave.
Yeah.
And I kept reeling him back in. I was like, dude, get to the gym at noon. You're training with me.
Yeah.
And he'd show up at 12:30. And I'm like, oh, this guy ain't interested, man. He's not sticking to the regimen.
Yeah.
And then finally something just clicked with him. Mm-hmm. Something clicked with him. And he said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to listen to Teddy and see what the hell I can do with this.
All right, now, Teddy, you shut up for a minute. Walt, when Teddy was telling you, okay, you'd be a great bodybuilder, did you just didn't believe it, or you weren't really interested in doing bodybuilding?
No, I wasn't interested, and I really didn't believe it. My whole goals and dreams and aspiration was to play football in the NFL.
Right.
Did a couple trials, but it didn't work out for me. And yeah, I really didn't think bodybuilding was
What position did you play in football?
I played running back.
Okay, and who'd you run for in college?
I played at Miles College, HBCU.
Gotcha. Now, what's the process of getting into the NFL from a college like Miles?
Pro days and combines and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Is that a tougher route rather than being drafted, I assume?
Yeah, you got to be very precise. Like if you go into these big schools and stuff like that, you automatically gonna go into some type of camp. But HBCU, Miles College is more of a smaller school, so I had to do good in my pro days and combines and stuff like that to actually get into it.
Were you exceptionally good at Miles? I'm assuming you probably were a star there.
Oh yes. Out of high school, I signed with Southern Miss, but I didn't score good on my ACTs and all that stuff like that, so I had to go to a junior college. So
I see. Okay, so what's the minimum scores to get into college nowadays?
You said ACT wise?
Yeah.
You got to score at least a 20 or 21 or something like that.
And that's pretty good. I mean, that's a good score too.
Yeah, that's a very good score. And also goes off your GPA too.
Right. Now, was that depressing to you that you were athletically able to get into the school, but that you couldn't academically get in?
Yeah. It took. I was young. Yeah, it was.
Now, was it a matter that you just didn't apply yourself and you really weren't into school, or was it just a really challenging test for you?
Well, I hated taking tests. You know, ACT is a time test. You know, I just hated taking tests. So.
Did you apply yourself in school though? In high school, were you a good student?
Oh, yes. I had a very good GPA, but at the same time, I still needed to score high on my ACT.
Now, I always wondered this. Why wouldn't you go and take one of these prep classes that teaches you how to like score, higher on these tests? Because a lot of times it's test taking technique, right?
Yeah, I took those courses. I went through those courses, but when it came down to actually taking the test and being time on the test, everything just went out the window.
Would you run out of time? Is that what the problem was?
Yes, it's a time test.
Well, maybe you should have told me you were dyslexic or something like that. You needed to take it untimed.
Maybe I should have done that.
I know. I had a friend. We went to medical school with me. He was dyslexic. He couldn't take the tests. He used to take 6 hours to finish the test, but they allowed him to because he was documented as being dyslexic. And now he's like one of the top fertility doctors in the world. So he's making a fortune. Yeah. So thank God he had that ability to do that.
I probably should have said that. Do it.
So you graduate college, you go to the combine. The combine is kind of like a tryout for the NFL. What do you have to do? Like, what's your 40 time? What are all your times and stuff like that?
My 40 was 4.3 in the 40. I jumped a 38 vertical.
Wow. My
bench press was 29 reps on 225.
That's probably a record for the combine.
Yeah. And I blowed it out. I actually trained so hard for that because for me being at a smaller school, so I had to put up these kind of numbers to eventually be seen.
So when you put those kind of numbers up, don't the scouts say, "Holy shit, this guy has got some talent"?
Yeah. Yes. I had a lot of scouts. I was talking to a lot of scouts. It was during the lockout year. So during the lockout year, the scouts cannot talk to any other athletes or anything like that during the lockout year. So I kind of like lost contact with a lot of the scouts, and my agent couldn't really get in contact with the scouts.
That's around lockout. How many years ago was this now?
This was in 2010, 11.
Okay, gotcha. So were you very depressed when you didn't get into the NFL?
Yeah, because my whole life was football. Everybody thought I was going to go to the NFL, so my whole life was football, but it didn't work out. So when football didn't work out, I was just basically trying to find myself.
Gotcha. So you come into the gym, and, what's his name?
Yeah, what's his name?
Teddy says to you, look, you got talent. I know you could be a great bodybuilder. And you're still depressed over football, obviously, but you decide to give it a shot at some point, right?
Correct.
Okay. When you won that first show in 16, did that clinch it for you? Did that in your mind say, I found what I was looking for?
No. I still don't believe it.
You still don't believe it?
I still don't believe it.
He still don't believe it today, man. He looks in the mirror and he doesn't see what we see. I got to tell him every day. I have to remind him every day, man. I'm like, look at me.
There so people know what we're talking about.
Look at you, dude.
Now, what would you say was the biggest challenge for you from transitioning from football to bodybuilding? Was it the fact that you had a diet?
Dieting so hard with the cardio, and at the same time having to work a 9-to-5 job, working 12 hours, then coming in training and dieting. That was very, very, very rough.
Where are you working?
Right now I work at Sherman-Williams. I work at a plant.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so is it labor intensive?
Yes, very hot, sweaty, and.
Yo, Dave, he fell asleep behind one of the big bins. It was worth $80,000. $80,000, and he destroyed it, man. He fell asleep.
Hey,
right in the
you got to get your naps in as a bodybuilder, right, man? You got to grow.
They love him, though. They didn't even write him up for it. They didn't fire him for it. Nothing, man.
That's great. That's awesome. All right, so
great.
Now you won the Junior USA, which is obviously a nice title to have under your belt. Now you're getting ready for the North American Championships. Obviously, the goal is to get the pro card. What seems to be, Teddy, what's the biggest challenge getting this guy in shape?
Biggest challenge is getting those glutes in. Everything else comes in, man. We can keep his fullness. He has beautiful symmetry and proportion. He has aesthetics. Even at 250 pounds right now, he's still got beautiful aesthetics. Small waist, Dave.
Yeah. No,
but that body fat, he's got the slowest metabolism I've ever worked with in any client. Okay, new challenges that I've never been up against.
He probably puts muscle on real easy, though, I bet.
He grows into the show. He'll keep adding weight off of 4 ounces of chicken, I swear to God. You know, it's crazy.
We were talking about this when you in 16, when you were saying, I was training Akeem Williams at the time, and you were like, this guy reminds me of Akeem Williams, and you used pretty much the same technique that I use, which is basically starve him to death to get the fat off.
That's what I have to do. Yeah, that's exactly.
Dave, when I was telling people that, they're like, "Oh, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, like, why are you doing that?"
And I'm like, listen, if Dave Palumbo says do it, I am gonna fucking do it. This guy knows what he's talking about. And I'm like, he's following in the footsteps. Let me ask you this, Dave. This is one thing that I kind of stopped doing that I used to do back in the 90s. Do you use like distilled water the last few days going into your...
No.
Did you used to do it in the 90s?
Never.
You didn't do it in the 90s?
No,
See,
guys, I know guys that did do it. I never did it because I knew from my biochemistry background and medical school that distilled water is the worst way to screw your electrolyte balance up in your body. So I never did it.
That's nothing. But you got to take potassium with it, and then of course you would take a...
Well, the problem is you're creating your own mineral water. You might as well just use regular water. I always say use what you've been using. You know what I mean? If you've been drinking tap water, drink tap water. If you've been drinking bottled water, drink bottled. Don't change anything the last week. I just talked about, I had a client of mine who won Teen Nationals a couple years ago, Giovanni Del Biondo. I worked with him for the Atlantic States. He won the super heavyweight class. Then he decided to go down to classic physique, and he had some guy giving him salt water the day before the show. He looked like he pumped 30 pounds of salt water into him, which is what he did.
Crazy.
So you can't do crazy things the last couple days because you screw a person up. So I always say stick with the same water.
I used to do it in the 90s. Now we do spring water. But I remember in the 90s, man, you would get such a death face from doing it, from bringing in that distilled water.
Yeah, but the problem is people then cramped and stuff like that because it watered down your electrolytes too much. And so that's the danger, I think, of distilled water. There's no electrolytes in it, and it's very acidic too. So, Teddy, talk to me a little bit about, when you get into the mindset of getting into a show. Obviously, to play football, you psych yourself up, right? You want to get hyped up. I want to play With bodybuilding, it's almost the opposite. You have to almost relax yourself going into the show.
Here you come.
I had to go yell at somebody for banging weights in the gym.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, we're at your Flex Fitness in Birmingham, Alabama, which I heard it's a beautiful gym. We're watching the Kai Green room. Yeah. What is it? The posing room?
Kai Green. This is the posing room. Yeah. We got 12 feet Kai Green behind us. Check that out. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I use it to motivate Walt, man. Walt's down and out. We put him in the posing room, and he gets to stare at Kai Green and get motivated and inspired. This is his number one bodybuilder. This is the guy he looks up to,
Well, they look alike too, so that's a good person to look up to.
The hair and everything.
Yeah. Now talk to me about the mentality going into the show, Walt, as opposed to getting ready for a football game.
Right now, the past shows is more of like calm, anxious.
Right.
Getting ready for a football game is more of an upbeat. I'm just like, at the same time, focused, but it's more of an upbeat. But getting ready for these bodybuilding shows is more of just being focused and just calm.
Right. And is that a hard thing to do because it's like a change from what you're used to,
Yeah, most definitely. Because, at a bodybuilding show, you backstage, it's not listening to any music because you got to wait till your number is called out, get ready to get tanned and sprayed and all that, and get ready to go on stage. Right. So you're not listening to any music.
Right. Now, Teddy, you told me you're doing a lot of old school stuff with Walt. What's that entail?
Man, if you ask me, Dave, the 90s were absolutely the greatest era for bodybuilding and prep. Things were just different, man. And a lot of, I learned from some newer guys, things that everybody's doing today. But compared to what we did, like, let's say, you ask somebody today if you should load with anadrol, carb load with anadrol going into the show. They're going to say no. A lot of people aren't doing it. Me, I did it in the 90s. Why would you stop? What's your take on that, Dave?
I don't know. I'm not a big oral guy. I don't really use a lot of orals. We usually use halotestin, which is similar to anadrol, except it doesn't really aromatize. So, halotestin lasts 2 weeks, 20 milligrams a day. if you're on Trenbolone already, I mean, you got 1 million androgens in your system already. That's pretty much standard for nowadays protocol. I did that protocol back in the 90s. That was my 90s protocol. I don't know if you remember, the halotestin used to come from, I think they were Upjohn, right from the U.S. pharmacy.
Absolutely.
They were little green
Absolutely,
mints.
I remember.
They were green mints, and they made you so crazy. You wanted to kill everyone around you, But it was only 2 weeks we did them for,
Yeah, it was the only last 2 weeks, man. You were flipping cars over the last 2 weeks of the show, But anyhow, so we load Walt with Anadrol, carb load Walt with Anadrol, and he just fills out. Why do you think he looked different at the Junior USA? Because we did tricks like that.
Yeah.
Things that I did in the 90s that people aren't doing.
Right.
We're working with Guru Amin right now.
Okay.
We've been working with Chris Hoffman out of Albertville. Chris uses new modern techniques. Yeah. Guru Amin uses the 90s shit. He does the 90s older stuff, Yeah. I don't want to give away too many secrets, but even like using Lasix, we haven't been using hard diuretics. But in the 90s they did. Guru Amin has mentioned using Lasix, going possibly a little harder than I'm used to, What's your take on the Lasix, man? Because I don't think too many people are still using it.
I don't use Lasix because I don't like having to deal with all the variables. Amin likes to deal with all the variables. I think he gets excited by the variables. But I like to make things as simple as possible. So I use Diazide because I know that the only variable that can actually fluctuate would be with sodium. So if you cramp on Diazide, you take sodium in. You don't have to worry about potassium or all these other variables. My whole philosophy on contest prep and bodybuilding in general is reduce it to its lowest form. In other words, make it as simple as you humanly can, and therefore the error margin becomes very low.
Right. Less is better going in. I agree with the diuretic. Yeah, absolutely.
But, everyone's different. Like, I had to use double the diuretics on a Keem that I did using on normal people. So, whatever I give normal people, which is pretty much standard, it usually works almost every time. With the Keem, I had to do 2 to 3 times that amount to get the water off his body because he was different. And that's why, as a coach, you always have to have an open mind as to what you're doing because every person's not exactly the same,
Well, Walt's the same way. You don't see Walt's true physique until the last 24 hours going into the show because he holds so much water.
Right.
It's just, no matter what we do, fast testers move to test suspension. It doesn't matter. He still holds a ton of water under that skin.
That's just his physique. Kai Green was like that too. Ask Kai Green. Kai Green would be 285, 2 days before the show. You're like, this guy's never going to be in shape. And then he'd be 255 on stage. I don't know how they would drop 25, 30 pounds of water off this guy's body, but they would. And
I need that trick. That's crazy.
It was crazy. Well, what kind of a support system do you have at home? Is your family supportive of the bodybuilding?
Very, very supportive. Very supportive. Like my wife, my dad, both of my stepmoms.
His dad used to be a bodybuilder, man. He's still huge, Dave. His dad
so
is
your dad must love this, huh?
Yeah.
He loved going to the shows too.
He probably never thought you were going to be a bodybuilder either, right? Did your dad ever suspect that you might be a bodybuilder, or he was after football? He probably thinks never.
My dad thought I was going to be playing football in the NFL somewhere. He didn't think I was.
He wanted you to make money. That's why he was smart. He was a smart dad. So your bodybuilder, was your dad did he have good genetics like you do?
Oh yes. He still does. My dad, almost 70 now, and he still is good.
He looks amazing, man.
Maybe we could have a pose down between your dad and Robbie Robinson, who's 70.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get him in Flex Gym right here. We'll get Robbie out there, and you can pose down against each other. Your dad versus Robbie.
I would love it. That'd be incredible. Big fan of Robbie Robinson, man.
That would get 1 million hits for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We should call it the 70 challenge. Anyone who's 70 or over can participate, and we'll hold it at Flex Fitness here in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll have a pose down in your posing room.
His dad goes to every show, man. His dad's out there like he's on stage. I swear to God.
That's awesome.
You can tell he misses it. Man.
It's great because most dads, my dad, I'm sure your dad, Teddy, too, they didn't know bodybuilding. They knew football. They knew baseball. Bodybuilding wasn't a sport when they were around, when they were upcoming, so to speak. So bodybuilding is a relatively newish sport. The fact that Walt's dad did it is amazing in that sense.
Yeah.
Where did he compete, Walt?
Well, just like little amateur shows back in Chicago.
Right.
It wasn't nothing too serious and stuff like that, but he was actually a gym rat.
That's awesome. Now, Walt, not Walt. Teddy, you actually mentioned, speaking of Chicago, you mentioned that you kind of mirrored your gym, Flex Fitness, after Quad's gym in Chicago. Is that true?
I sure did, man. When I saw Quads, how hard is it, first of all, to find a building that's 2 stories that you can kind of, emulate Quads? I found a building that was 3 stories.
Wow.
So we're 3 levels. Our first floor is kind of just soft, man. It's mostly women, dads, kids. Right. You get to the second floor and it is hardcore. You get to the third floor and it's powerlifting and bodybuilding.
Really?
So we're like it's like every gym you've ever wanted in one gym.
It must be like a superstructure, because most people put the heavyweights on the bottom floor, not the top floor.
Listen, so when I'm looking at the building, I go to the owner of the building. I said, listen, man, there's going to be tons of equipment up here. Yeah. I said, what's the guarantee that the floors aren't going to collapse and kill people, right? He goes, I guarantee you. They brought an engineer in, and the engineer goes, you can drive cars on that second and third floor. Don't you worry about it.
Wow.
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have done it, Dave, because I was thinking the same thing, man.
How many square feet is the gym total?
It's 30,000 square feet. Each floor is 10,000.
That's awesome. Wow, you got a nice gym there.
We have an elevator, though. I don't think Quads has an elevator, do they?
I don't think so.
No, you had torn quads when you went. Did you not tear your quad when you were out there? You did it.
I might have had a torn. My quad is still torn. I tore it in 2012, and it hasn't healed yet. But yeah, when I went out there, I think I was just recovering from a surgery. Yeah.
That's right. I saw the video. You have
a good memory, man. Your memory's better than mine. That's great.
No,
I went there and trained. I loved the gym. It was amazing. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of historical pictures on the wall too?
Yeah, we do. We have everybody. We have all the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the current Olympias. We even have like the Barbarian Brothers, stuff like that.
I love to train and watch all that. Look at that stuff on the wall while I'm working out. It motivates.
That's right, man. You're having an off day. That's all you got to do is stare up and get motivated.
Right. Well, guys, I want to just wish you both the best of luck at the North American Championships. Walt, I think you have a great shot at getting that pro card. Good luck, and hopefully you will have finally achieved the pro status that you're looking for. You thought you were going to get it in football. Now you're going to hopefully get it in bodybuilding.
Yes, sir. Love and positivity always.
All right. You want to give us a front double bicep or something like that? Look at those arms. You got a lot of tattoos on your body. When did that start, Walt?
A long time ago, when I was in football. When I was in college and my senior year in high school.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of football players nowadays have a lot of tattoos. Is that like a new thing?
Nah, it was growing up seeing it.
Yeah.
Tattoos and everything else. Now that I'm older, now I hate it. I got them.
Yeah, you're like, man, I'm a bodybuilder now. I wish I didn't have them all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
Luckily, the judges don't care anymore about tattoos. It doesn't even matter. But
I'll just get an extra tan over it.
That's right. That's right. You know, the worst thing that people do is sometimes these people try to cover their tattoos with makeup. It looks terrible. If you got tattoos, don't worry about the tattoos. Just put your tanning stuff over it and forget about it. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah, right.
People didn't know Chris Cormier has tattoos all over his body. But for some reason, when he's all tanned up on stage, you don't see him really, you know?
Right.
So.
Luckily, he doesn't have any on his legs or back, man. It's all just his arms and shoulders, you know?
Yeah, but it's
all like... Yeah. It's inspirational stuff. If you read what's on Walt's body, it's all motivational, inspirational stuff. Well, it's not like ghetto thug kind of stuff, man. None of that crap.
All of it means something.
It's like verses from the Bible, stuff like that, Dave. Right. Motivation, like how to continue on. And
it's right here I have Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Yeah, he's very religious, Dave.
Right. Well, you know that's sometimes it helps. You know, bodybuilding is somewhat of a spiritual type of sport. Because every day you go to the gym, you're putting your body. You got to, you don't even have to believe in God, but when you get under that bar, you believe in something because you're putting 600 pounds on your back. You go down to that weight, you want to make sure you come up. You know.
You believe in God.
I used to pray all the time. Believe me, I prayed all the time. I don't even know who I was praying to. I was praying because you were putting your body in a precarious situation, and you were hoping to get that weight up so that you can then make your body better than it was before. So it is a religious experience,
Right,
when you go to the gym. But
Absolutely. Yep.
all right, guys, it was great talking to you. I'm glad, Walt, you won that Junior USA, and we got you here for the interview. Hopefully I'll have you back after you win that North American.
Yes, sir.
Dave, are you going to be there? You
No,
gonna be
I
out
won't.
there?
My wife is giving birth right around the same exact time, so I'll be here, cheering her on, so to speak.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
Happy for you, Dave.
All
That's
right,
awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Teddy. Thanks, Walt. Guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Great interview.
All right, Dave.
Very
All
fun,
right,
man.